Believe it or not, our RV toilet is way less smelly than the toilet in any sticks and bricks permanent house. And in this video, I'll show you how we achieve this and a few more handy RV toilet tips. Hey, welcome back. I'm Greg from Kiwi Wanderers, and this is one of our tech tip series. So today it's toilet tech tips. Righto, number 1, no smell. Number 2, a clean dump. Number 3, safe storage. And number 4, how to achieve a very clean cassette. Now, we enjoy making these videos and love the feedback we get as we travel around this great country. So, if you're not subscribed, please think about doing that. Now, if you're watching on your TV, just use your phone camera to view this QR code and it'll take you straight to the subscribe on our channel. Otherwise, you just use a link in the description. Hey, thanks very much in advance. Okay, number 1, how do we get rid of the smells in our RV? Well, it's a ventilator kit or SOG, and I want to explain what happens with our ventilator kit step by step so you can see why it's such a life changer in the caravan. So here we go. Sandy always says I talk a lot about shit. And here I am doing it, yeah. Okay, before the event, you turn on the fan by tapping the flush button. That draws air from the cassette out through a little filter underneath, carbon filter underneath the toilet. The next step is to open the flap so that the air is being drawn out of the toilet bowl. Then the actual vent, where any distressing smell is being sucked out through the filter. Once the job is complete, the fan is still going and the flush happens. The last step is to close the flap with no unfortunate odours of any kind. The fan keeps going for about 5 minutes, which breaks down all the solids, so no chemicals required. So you save a bit of cash. I did a little video about fitting the ventilator kit to our Thetford C260 toilet, and we also did a follow-up video on how it's performing. So have a look at those if you need any more info. Yeah, game changer. Number 2, emptying the cassette. We always have a lengthy discussion about performing this task on whether it's a pink job or a blue job. It usually ends up as a blue job. But with the dump mate, it's a job even Sandy doesn't mind doing. It's a great bit of kit, and it takes away any view of what's coming out of the cassette. It also raises up the target so you don't have to bend over so much. And I mean, we're all getting older. Some people have said it's just another thing to clean, and they're right. But it's made out of very slippery plastic stuff, and cleaning it is very quick. You can also get a bag, which we have obviously, to put it in when not in use. So this key bit of kit when it comes to toilet management, this is a key bit of kit. The other thing for emptying the toilet is to use the vent button. This orange button at the top here. I have seen several people not use this, and the cassette empties, but a bit like a Coke bottle, and it sort of glugs out, and that's how splashbacks can happen, and nobody wants splashbacks. Also, another tip, if you use chemicals in your cassette, the lid here on the end of the cassette here has measuring marks in it, so you can get exactly the right amount of chemical and not waste it. Number 3, cassette storage. Like a lot of campers, we have 2 cassettes. Actually, in Aussie, I recently heard of a camper over there who had 5 cassettes. Just imagine if that all went wrong. Anyway, we have 2, so we can stay off grid longer, and it works very well. When we have a full cassette, we swap it out. Then when we're next out and about, we empty it at one of over 500 dump stations New Zealand has. It's great. It allows us to stay off grid longer. The only thing that dictates our off grid time now is water. I must work out a way to fill the van with fresh water while parked at some spectacular spot. If you have a suggestion for this, please add it to the comments below. Okay, so the full cassette is in the ute, but I really would not like the relatively flimsy full cassette to bounce around in the back of my ute in case there was, shall we say, an explosive release. Anyway, to avoid this and contain any odour that might accompany a full cassette, we use a DeWalt toolbox. It fits the cassette perfectly and is very robust and not too heavy. We got this tip from a fellow camper, and it definitely makes our disposal run much safer. Right, next, number 4, cleaning your cassette properly. So here is how I give the cassette a deep clean and inspect all the seals. First, in the toilet hatch, I think it's important to keep this area clean to avoid funny smells or unpleasantness. So yeah, it's important to really clean this area properly with a good deodorizing cleaner, because any fluid you find in here may not be water. So there are a couple of hidden areas in this model of toilet. Number one down the back here, and number two under the ventilator filter. So if you don't have a ventilator kit, this filter is just an empty area, and it's the lowest part in the cassette area. So important not to ignore these. Now you will notice this little bump here, and we have a seal on this. So what this does is when you insert the cassette, this opens up a vent, and I'll show you about that when we disassemble the cassette. The reason this is important is the cassette needs to have a vent while you're using it. If you're putting stuff into a closed container that has no vent, any smell has no option but to come out of the entry hole. So yeah, all cassettes have this vent, and it's important to leave this plate in place so you keep the vent working. Now, the cassette itself. So these little guys have quite a few moving parts, and the good news is you can buy all of the parts individually, or in some cases in a kit for different repairs. Right, so first up, it's the spout. So the spout turns around and just pulls straight up, and you can get into the front of the cassette and have a good look. It's obviously got a rubber seal on there. Never going to wear out. It only gets used every time the cassette's empty. So yeah. By the way, I'm not wearing any gloves because this is a brand new cassette. I purchased it specially for this video so I could show you guys how to clean it properly. I thought I wouldn't use one of my existing cassettes in case we discovered some, well, you know, you can't unsee some things. Anyway, please use gloves if you're cleaning your cassette, because you never know what you might find. Okay, we've talked about the vent in the cassette, and if I take this little cover off here, you can see that vent. There it is. Pretty easy to disassemble. Not that it's going to get very dirty, but you just need to make sure it's all going to work. So pull the plate back, and then there's a spring under there, and now this little guy comes out. This goes up and down and opens this little vent, and yeah, once we get this off, we can take that little valve out as well. Right, the next is the blade assembly. So it's pretty easy to get out. You can use this guy to turn the blade assembly, but I wouldn't recommend it on a used cassette, because you're putting a huge amount of strain on these two bits here, and very easy for them to break off. So what I have got is a piece of wood I've made up, which is exactly that size, and I slip that in there, and just gives me good leverage, and you move it around without putting too much stress on one area there. Unfortunately, I left that bit of wood in Blenheim, so yeah. So this is a brand new cassette. It's really easy to undo. So it has some marks on here, a triangle and a full circle. We want to move the triangle to the empty circle. So I'm going to do that right there. Pretty easy. And then it just lifts straight out. Very easy to see what's in here. You can see it's got good rubber seals. I might do a separate video on how to change the seals, actually, because there's a little bit involved in that. And to be fair, these seals and this mechanism is the bit that's going to wear out, because it gets used every time the toilet's used. But as you can see, once you're in here, you can get a really good view of the toilet. We can take out this little vent here. Just you turn this right angles and it comes out very easy. That, and yeah, just a little foam seal there. Might want to clean that. It could get covered in stuff. There's a see that there's the level gizmo at the back there. It's just got a little plastic clip holding it in. It's got a little metal bar there that signals the level lights on the toilet control. Yeah, so you can see you can get in and really clean that toilet out of any stuff. Reassembly is no real tricks here. Oh, the vent button. I haven't taken the vent button to this. this guy just flicks off. There's a spring under there, and that's the vent button. I wouldn't I'd have a look at this, but I wouldn't necessarily pull it apart because it's a little bit flimsy in my opinion, and putting it back together, yeah, unless you had to, I wouldn't take that apart. I'd just make sure it's working, and you can see in there whether it's got any debris or anything on it. Okay, so reassembly, not too serious. We better put this bit back in first, otherwise we're going to have trouble. Oh, there you go. That's why you shouldn't play around with the vent assembly, because it just flew to bits by itself. No real rocket science involved. This only goes in one way. You'll notice that it's got little offset pins there, so you just got to make sure you get around the right way, which is that one. Oops. Here we go. Spring in place. This little guy goes in there like that. Down and under there. And here we go. Get the coupler. It's working perfectly. Put the lid on there. There's a little seal there, but I'm not sure that it's here we go. Right here, we're going to line up the arrow with the open circle, and we're just going. Oh, really important actually to lube all these things. So I will just. I'm using Thetford spray. I would imagine any silicone style spray would be okay, but of course Thetford only recommend the Thetford stuff. It's not super expensive, and you don't use a whole heap of it, so probably a worthwhile investment. Right, put that behind back in, and the arrows line up there, beautiful. And then you'll notice this, you need to put the slide in the right way. It has an arrow too that lines up, so you know you've got it all assembled correctly when you've got everything lined up. I usually give that a little bit of a lube up with the Thetford spray, just because I can. It's obviously the bit that gets all the work. And then this guy goes back in once again. Spray on there. And there we have it. The cassette fully reassembled and totally clean. Righto, there you go. One very clean cassette. Now, if I've missed any tips, I'd love you to put them in the comments below. That'd be great. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you got something out of this video. Catch you out there.